afraid of having an intellectually honest debate on issues. It's frightening. But I want to, since we have a limited amount of time, I want to talk about the article you just wrote. I think it just came out yesterday on Breitbart.com regarding York Insurance and Tom MacArthur, who is running for Congress in the 3rd Congressional District as a Republican. And before I ask you, I should want to be on the record, as I have in the past. I know Steve Lonegan personally. He's a friend of mine. He's been on this program. He's actually guest hosted this program before he announced for Congress. He, in my opinion, is a true conservative, and this guy is not. But my concern here with this particular story is what the Democrats would do with it if Tom MacArthur was the nominee of the Republican Party in the 3rd Congressional District. Can you tell us a little about what's going on here with this story that you wrote yesterday?
Yes, and I'm a reporter, and this is pretty cut and dry for me. We have to look at anyone who wants to run. What do they do? What have they said? What have they done that convinces us to give them power? The best predictor of future behavior is past behavior. Looking at Tom MacArthur's record is alarming. He's attacking Steve Lonegan for, denying this, or for not supporting this pork-filled Sandy Aid bill, which had millions of dollars dedicated to things that had nothing to do with helping actual people who suffered. Meanwhile, he's run insurance companies that have defrauded people, that have delayed payments, which have, people have suffered. Firefighters who, were trapped in burning buildings and need health care were not reimbursed for, massive insurance costs, thanks to his company hemming and hawing and, not giving them the money that they pay, not giving them the money from their insurance policies that they deserved. And he's also, he's a pretty left-wing Republican. When he was mayor of Randolph, he raised taxes. When he was a councilman in 2011, he not only supported, gun control, but restrictions on hunting bows out of safety concerns. Attendance at a meeting last March, at which he spoke with the NRA, so that his position on gun rights wasn't much different than the Obama administration's. So we're going to have a guy in Congress, a Republican, who agrees with Eric Holder, possibly on many gun issues. Voters really have to think, is this the man we want representing us?
Well, I'm glad you brought up the Sandy Aid issue, because I know one of the things that MacArthur is bashing Lonegan about has to do with the Sandy Aid bill, the $50+ billion Sandy Aid bill, and trying to say that Steve's position was, he didn't want to help the people who were victimized by Superstorm Sandy. Well, of course, that's not the story. The story is, as you point out, and as others have pointed out, there were huge amounts of pork in there. There were huge amounts of things that had nothing to do with Sandy relief that were in there. And Steve made the point, as others have made, and those are conservatives by and large, that if you're going to have a relief bill for Sandy, make it just be about that, and don't keep throwing all of these earmarks and pork barrel things that, remember, Obama said he was going to get rid of if he became president, into these bills. That was the point he was trying to make, and his argument was, I would vote against that bill in its present form. He wasn't saying he would vote against doing something that would help the people who were hurt by Superstorm Sandy.
Well, right. The reason we have so many problems in this country is because we have dishonest debate where people deliberately obfuscate people's positions and, out of bad faith, and accuse them of things that simply, obviously, aren't true.
What do you think? I mean, you follow this enough to know that this is the kind of fodder. You have an insurance executive who's successful, and I don't begrudge anyone who's successful, especially if they've done it by being ethical businessmen who create product and services and value for people and create jobs. I'm a free market guy. But, what fodder is this for Democrats in a general election who can say this guy got rich and then these people who really needed to have their claims paid didn't get their claims paid? I mean, it seems like something the Democrats would run with.
All Democrats have to do is make a cheap ad showing crying children, damaged houses, and then, a black and white picture of MacArthur, saying, he defrauded these people and left them to suffer. And they're going to use, the words of the people who file complaints saying, they dragged their feet, they weren't responsive, they didn't act in good faith, we have suffered, these are, pretty direct quotes. And they're just going to use that to slam Republicans. And, they're just going to they're going to dredge up the whole, Mitt Romney vein, evil Republicans making money off the backs of suffering people. I don't see this ending well.
No, I think it's a very good point. And one of the things that you find when you have people who are unvetted by tough campaigns, and Steve Lonegan has certainly been vetted over and over again and had just about everything thrown at him that you could think of in tough campaigns over the last few years in New Jersey, but also has the reputation for almost 20 years as being the most committed, vocal, active, real conservative in the state. What are they going to throw against him that they haven't already done? They're going to call him a Tea Party this and a far right that, because that's what they do. That's what Cory Booker did in the Senate race last year. He called him that 10,000 times, and Steve Lonegan got 54% of the vote in the 3rd Congressional District. So here you have in Tom MacArthur someone who's never run for any significant office before. And, these things are going to come out. I don't think that you want to have someone in a race like this who doesn't have the vetting already done. And here's an example of something that I think the Democrats are going to run with.
Well, right, and we need to vet people. And before Andrew Breitbart passed away, he said, we're going to vet. This is the beginning of the vetting for Barack Obama, since the media did not do its job in the 2012 election and in the 2008 election. Every day, our mission should be, as a journalist, who is committed to truth, is to vet our own side strictly. Find out if we need honest people in our government. That's the only way anything is ever going to be fixed. We don't need charlatans. We don't need people who defraud others, their fellow Americans. And, it just has to be every single race we have to go through, look at the candidates and say, and just look into their backgrounds. It's that simple.
Are you continuing to follow this story? Is there more information that may be coming out on this?
I'm working on it, yeah.
Well, keep us posted. I hope you'll come back on the program and tell us if you hear more, because obviously, people in the 3rd Congressional District should know, and we would want to get that information to them.
Well, thank you so much for having me on.
Katie, thanks for being on. That's Katie McHugh with Breitbart.com. And we'll be back in just a minute here on The Voice of Liberty.